Welcome, everybody. For those of you who have never met me before, my name is Catherine McKenna. I'm based in Dublin, but I work in the areas of Meath and Louth and the Dublin area as well. And what I want to do today is just go through what is pranic healing. So a lot of people are saying they're seeing it advertised more on Facebook. They're seeing different things popping up around the Twin Hearts meditation about pranic healing, and they're interested to know a little bit about what it is. It's being described as one of the fastest growing healing modalities in the world because it's actually practiced in over 126 different countries. So before I get started on some information, I just want to introduce myself properly and my background and how I got involved in pranic healing as well. So I'm practicing it now, I think 14 years, maybe a bit more. I first started when my son was really young. I kind of started delving into energy and trying to figure out what this energy was. I was always quite sensitive to other people's energy, how they were feeling, what the energy was like in different environments that I was in. And I would pick up on this, and sometimes it would actually affect how I was feeling. So I really wanted to learn more just for myself, just to learn how to keep myself feeling good, keep myself feeling energized. And you know, something that I kind of noticed that was happening was sometimes you'd be interacting with different people, and depending on who you were interacting with, they would sometimes drain your energy. And I wanted to understand a little bit more about how something like this could happen as well, and also how to protect myself from this happening. So if I rewind back to about 14, 15 years ago, I was a very, very different person. I was actually chatting to a friend of mine last night about it. And I was saying, you know, I wasn't in a place to be able to feel very confident or, you know, to do the likes of these presentations. I was quite an anxious person then. I had a lot of doubt, I had a lot of low self-esteem, and my life was quite stagnant. So I was kind of stuck in a bit of a rut and I didn't know what I wanted to do or how to move forward. So I started learning a little bit about pranic healing. And through the different practices, we learn how to remove different negative thoughts and emotions that we have in our system about ourselves. So sometimes in life, we really, really want to move forward. We want to achieve certain goals and we want to explore new things. For me, it was, I really wanted to go back into education. I wanted to become a primary school teacher. But at that time, I hadn't got the confidence to do it. But within the pranic healing system, you learn certain techniques that help to get rid of and flush out these negative thoughts and emotions. So I was practicing it for a good while, and I applied to go back to college, went back and got my primary school teaching degree. Then I went on to do a master's in special education, and all through developing my education and my career, I was also studying a lot of pranic healing here in Ireland and in the UK throughout those years. And I never studied realizing that I was going to end up teaching it and that I was going to end up, you know, being a facilitator and giving seminars, self-development seminars. I had initially only started just to help me, just to help my family and just to help us move forward. So whether it was a physical issue that was going on, whether it was something emotional going on, you know, with the pranic healing system, the way that it was developed, we were able to use these energy techniques that we learned to help alleviate these physical ailments and the emotional, whether it was stress, anxiety, fear. And then when I looked at my wider family, a lot of them needed support as well in regards to traumas and addiction, different phobias that they had as well. And we were able to use the pranic psychotherapy system to really help them as well. And when I started to see all of these results coming in, you know, you always study something, but you're never fully sure how effective it is until you actually start practicing it. And I was kind of shocked, to be honest. I would kind of say to myself, really? Did that happen? You know, you're after giving a treatment to somebody and they say, no, I feel great, or I was able to do this and this happened. And, you know, with different addiction, whether it was cigarettes or drug addiction or alcohol addiction, there was great results. And I kept going and kept going with these different results. And even some like simple ailments, like say, for example, you know, some people suffer terrible with their gastrointestinal system. They might have like an IBS or a constipation or Crohn's, different things like that. So we started to apply pranic healing, and just like that, you could get the results. And when I saw how this impacted on people's families, like it's not just the individual person, but actually it had a massive ripple effect for other family members belonging to them too. And when I saw how this really started to change, that's when I started to say, okay, I really want to start, you know, helping more people, because you could see the ripple effects for their families. Because let's face it, if anyone in the family is struggling with some sort of a physical ailment, or anybody suffering with addiction, or maybe they're suffering with, you know, some sort of a psychological disorder, it affects everybody, because everybody is trying to support and help that person wherever, whatever needs they have. So for me, I got great pleasure in watching the pranic healing treatments help the individual person, but more how it actually helped to alleviate so much stress from other people as well. So that's one of the reasons why I then started to practice pranic healing in all different areas. So as I mentioned earlier, I work in Dublin, I work in Meath, and I work in County Louth. Now, obviously, we're quite restricted over the last few months, so we've been doing a lot of online work, which has been fantastic because it meant that we were able to reach out to more people. And I'm part of a huge team of pranic healers as well. So, you know, we've got pranic healing therapists the whole way throughout Ireland. We've got lots of fantastic pranic healing instructors that teach throughout the whole of Ireland. So it is great that it's really accessible to so many people as well. So I just want to explain a little bit about what pranic healing is as well. One of the reasons why I like it so much is because it's very much a researched modality. Everything in pranic healing is all researched, and it's put together into like a protocol, so it's very systematic. And we're throughout the world as well, over in America, in the UK, and even here in some hospitals in Ireland, they're actually using pranic healing in the medical hospitals. So people go in and they get whatever surgery or whatever they need for their physical body, and then they get pranic healing to help with the energy body. So it's very much a complementary system to our orthodox medical system. So if we look at the physical body, sometimes we need to have surgery, sometimes we need to, you know, take certain medication, but there's also this huge energy system, and we'll talk a little bit more about it over the next while. I'll explain the anatomy of the energy system too, and we need to make sure that we're looking after this energy system as well. So with the whole pranic healing system, everything was meticulously researched. It was all analysed and experimented, and then it was developed into a science. So the pranic healing system is used to tackle and remove different conditions of the body. Whether the conditions are physical or psychological, there's a protocol or there's a treatment there for every single thing. So for example, if 5 people come in with a broken arm, it's the same protocol, it's the same chakras that are affected with this broken arm, because there's certain chakras that are in charge of certain parts of the body. So for example, some of you may be familiar with the basic chakra, which is just on the tailbone, and the basic chakra is in charge of the skeletal system. It's in charge of cellular growth. So when somebody presents with anything to do like with broken bones, it would be important that we treat the basic chakra so that we can speed up the recovery. So it's really the difference of, is the person going to be in the cast for 5-6 weeks, or will they be out of the cast in 2 or 3 weeks? That's the results that you can get with pranic healing. Now it's the same then if somebody's struggling emotionally. As I said, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's anxiety, trauma, phobias, depression, addiction, whatever it is that's going on for them, there's a set protocol there that we learn in class so that we can go and practice on other people then as well. So it's really, really well-researched system. And I liked that as well, because even though I know it's nice to use your intuition from time to time, I think sometimes it's also nice to have an actual set protocol in place too. So pranic healing is based on 2 principles. So the 2 principles it's based on is self-recovery and life's force. So what that means is the body is born as a mechanism that's able to fully recover. So let's say, for example, you broke your arm, or you had a cough or a cold, or you cut yourself and you were bleeding. If no energy system is applied, your body will actually be able to heal itself eventually. Might take 2 days, might take a few weeks, depending on what it is that's going on. But that's how fantastic our physical systems are. We're born in a way that we're able to fully recover from whatever it is that's going on for us. However, the length of time that recovery takes is determined by how much life force or how much energy is in your system. So you might know some people who are full of energy and they've got a huge amount of energy and they very rarely get sick, or they bounce back really, really quickly. And then you might know other people who are really, really low in energy. They're quite draining. And if they get sick, it takes them a much longer time to recover from the sickness. The reason behind this is because the life force or the energy that they have in their system, there's not enough there to be able to allow that self-recovery process to happen quickly. So in pranic healing, what we do is we use two different techniques called cleansing and energizing. So we cleanse out any of the diseased energy from the system. Any stress energy, any anxiety, any emotional blockages that are there, we cleanse them out. Or if there's a blockage there that's causing some sort of a physical issue, then we just clear that from the energy system as well. So we put the emphasis on cleansing the energy system. Now, when we say cleansing, we would do a lot more cleansing, and then as soon as we see that there's no more blockages in the system, then we would put new, fresh, clean prana or clean energy into the system so that the healing can happen then at a much faster rate. So we know even with children how quick they bounce back, because their energy systems are usually quite healthy, they're usually very strong. And let's face it, they usually have a lot of energy as well. So if they get sick or if they break a bone, a lot of the time they bounce back very, very quickly. But if you compare that to somebody who's really elderly, and particularly in this climate when, a lot of the elderly had to cocoon, the reason being is because their energy systems are absorbing energy at a much slower rate. Their energy systems are much smaller than what they should be. So if they get sick or if they break a bone or if anything like that happens to them, usually the recovery time is much longer than that of someone who has a much healthier system. So our jobs as pranic healers, we teach people how to feel the energy, how to practice seeing the energy, so that we can figure out where there's not enough energy getting into the system, or perhaps there's too much energy blocking up the system in other parts. And then the pranic healing therapist can then go in and clear the energy, cleanse it all up and put new fresh energy in so that they're able to revitalize the system and boost it up so the healing is able to happen. Now, some of you may have heard of the word prana. It's a Sanskrit word and it just means energy or life force. But other modalities use chi, chi from Chinese, like Tai Chi. You may have heard of ki, like Reiki or Nuati. So all these different terms all mean the exact same thing. It all means energy. So we have so many different traditions, so many different cultures who are describing this energy and the importance of looking after this energy system. Because whatever happens in the energy system, it happens there first. And if we don't clear it at that time, then it feeds into the physical system and it causes some sort of an interruption or some sort of an issue in the physical body then as well. So we need to pay particular attention, if we're starting to kind of not feel very well, if we're starting to feel very low on energy. This is like indicators to us to let us know we need to stop. We need to practice certain techniques to help flush out any of the negative energy from the system, and then just to help revitalize or boost up the energy system so that everything is working very, very healthy. Now, the reason I go on about energy so much is because as I learned more and more about pranic healing, I realized we live in this sea of energy. And this energy or prana or life force or chi or ki, whatever you want to call it, it actually affects every single area of our life. And within the pranic healing system, I just love the way that it's broken down so that no matter what's going on, because let's face it, we all have issues in different areas of our lives. There's never everything kind of plain sailing and everything's perfect. There's always one particular area of our life where we are struggling, or we need a bit of support, or we need to know these different techniques to help us. So with pranic healing, they break it down. So the founder of the pranic healing system, his name is Master Choa Kok Sui, and he developed the system from the Philippines. And he was looking at all of the different areas that people struggled in and gave them really practical tools to be able to help them. So let's say, for example, the 4 main areas that we focus on in pranic healing are health, relationships, finances, and spirituality. So if you look at health, the health is broken down into your physical health, your emotional health, and your mental health. So some people may have issues in one or all 3 of these different areas. Then if you look at relationships, like what I was saying at the beginning, I was always quite sensitive to other people's energies, to, like what they were projecting, what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was always quite sensitive when I walked into a room. I'd kind of get a vibe or a feeling of what was going on. And this used to really affect me. It used to cause me a lot of anxiety, or it would cause me to shut down. Where when the more I practiced the pranic healing and learned certain tools and techniques, I was actually able to use these tools and techniques to help enhance my relationships. So, like we need to understand that there's always a transference of energy that goes on between different people. It can be a positive transference of energy where they make us feel really good, or sometimes it's not so good and it's quite negative and we feel quite drained, or we feel like it might be quite toxic to be around certain people. So a lot of the time with work and with family, we can't avoid people. So we have to learn certain techniques to help us cope and manage those situations better. And that was a big, big learning for me. Now, the other part as well is finances. So we've met a lot of people who are quite spiritual and, they struggle a lot financially. So in pranic healing, there's a huge amount of techniques that also help you to look at your life like a business, and to help you assess all the different areas of your life, to look at the areas where you're struggling and to start to implement certain techniques into those areas to help enhance them. So if it's the area of finances, they talk a lot about the law of karma, the law of attraction. They talk a lot about, the seeds that we plant. What we give is what we're going to receive. So you'll often see a lot of pranic healers. They're quite generous. They give their time, they help support people financially. So there's a huge amount of techniques as well, just to help people with their finances then as well. And obviously, if somebody is struggling physically and has very, very low energy, they're going to find it quite difficult to actually motivate themselves to go out and either sustain a job, hold down a job, or even get a job. So if we don't, look at what's going on energetically in the physical body, it's going to have ripple effects in other areas as well. So that's where the finances come into play too. And spiritually, so for me, again, this is one of the things that I used to search for. So I always had this, I call it the internal search. And I, dipped into other modalities. I looked at different bits and pieces throughout the years. And it was like I was always searching for something. I wasn't quite sure what it was until I actually came across the pranic healing. So I was looking for this spiritual connection. And I love the way they explain it within the pranic healing system. So when they talk about spirituality in pranic healing, they talk about the person continuously developing themselves and continuously becoming more intelligent, more powerful, and more compassionate. So they would be the 3 aspects of a good spiritual person. And also learning how to connect with yourself. So we would believe that there's a higher self, there's a higher soul. And we would also look at, making that connection stronger so that we are staying on the path that we're meant to be on. Everybody has a purpose in life. And part of the spiritual connection is connecting with your true self and understanding yourself, and understanding that everybody has strengths and weaknesses. There's nobody that's perfect. But also, when things go wrong, how to help build your character a little bit more as well. So there's a beautiful spiritual practice as part of the Pranic healing system. It's actually called Arhatic Yoga, and it's taught every September. Um, and it's, you know, it's a practice that involves a lot of meditation, a lot of different types of meditation, because meditation, you know, there's all different types of meditations that are all doing different things. So with the practice, it's just helping to activate different chakras within the body to help you become more powerful, to help you become more compassionate and more intelligent, and to develop that awareness within yourself as well, and also to help your character develop. And as part of the soul's evolution, that's what our hatha practice is all about. So what I'd like to do is get you just to try a little experiment with me, and let's just see, can you feel this energy, or, you know, feel this prana, because everybody has it. Everybody has energy, but how much you have depends on your lifestyle. It depends on the way your mind is working, the way your emotional system is working. So what we're going to do is, if you just copy me, if you can, and just press the center of the palm here and here, and then just press the tips of the fingers here. Okay, now we just do a couple of little exercises. So I get you just to rotate your arms backwards. So what we're going to do is just try and feel this prana, or feel the energy that's in our system already. Okay, then go forward, and then just flick the hands just like this. Don't worry, no one can see you. They can only see me doing it. And then just rotate the hands around like this. And then go the other way. And then just stretch out the hands. Give a good stretch. Rub the hands together. And just press and press. And again, just press the center of the palm. Press over here. Tips of the fingers again. Excellent. Okay. So what we're going to do is, we're going to get you just to put your hands facing each other like this. Now you can do it a little bit lower, just kind of down in front of your tummy, but I'm just going to hold them up here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so you keep yours nice and relaxed down in front of your tummy. Make sure they're parallel just like this. Leave a little bit of space in between the armpits. Make sure you've got your 2 feet flat on the ground, and just face the 2 hands together. Just leave them beside each other just like this. And I'm going to get you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And then exhale back out again. Again, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now very gently and slowly, just start to move your hands out towards your hips. Nice and slowly, nice and gently. And then move them back in again. And then before they touch, just go back out again. Keep your nice deep breaths going. And back in again. Keep that inhalation and exhalation. Keep a nice space in between the armpits, shoulders nice and relaxed. Now, what I want you to do is just be aware of, or think of, that area that you pressed in the palm of the hand, in the center of the hand, and also in the tips of the fingers. So sometimes people would describe it as like a pressure, or like magnets, or like a spring, or a sponge, or like a resistance, or they might get a certain hot or cold feeling. So it's just to get you used to feeling the energy, feeling the prana. Now just go like this, and it just helps to get rid of any of the buildup of energy in between the two hands. So that's prana, that's energy. Everybody has it, but how much you have depends on your lifestyle, and it just depends on, you know, what kind of practices you do as well. So with the anatomy of the energy system, everybody has this thing called an aura, which is a big energy field that goes around the whole body. I sometimes think of the Ready Breck ad from a few years ago, and they used to have this big, huge light around the person in the ad. That's kind of like what the aura looks like. And again, depends on your lifestyle and what's going on for you will determine how big or how small that aura is. So for the people who do a lot of the Twin Hearts meditation practice, their aura, because every time they do that, it flushes out the aura and it cleans it. So their aura will be nice and clean, and it would also help to build the energy within the aura as well. Now, within the pranic healing system, we've got 11 major chakras. So these are the major chakras, and they're mainly on the front channel and the back channel. So some modalities work off the 7 chakra model, some work off the 9 chakra model, and we just go a little bit deeper in the pranic healing system, and we work with 11 major chakras. So we've got the crown chakra at the very top of the head. We've got the forehead chakra on the hairline, the ajna in between the eyebrows. We've got the throat chakra and the heart, the front and back heart chakras on the chest and at the back. We've got the front and back solar plexus chakra just in between the ribs and directly behind it. On the belly button, we have the navel chakra. Directly behind that, we have what's called the Menming chakra. On the lower left rib, we've got the front spleen and the back spleen chakra. And then on the pubic bone, we've got the sex chakra, and on the tailbone at the back of the body, we've got the basic chakra. So you need to understand that each of these chakras have a different physical function. So they're in charge of different parts of the physical body, and they look after certain organs. They correspond with certain organs in the body, but they also have a psychological function. So I'll just give you a little example. Let's say, for example, somebody's struggling with anxiety. A lot of the time they'll feel that anxiety in what we call the solar plexus chakra. And the solar plexus chakra sits in between the ribs. So it's just at the very top of the tummy, above the belly button. So with the solar plexus chakra, if that anxiety is only going on for a short time, the body usually just corrects itself. Both the energy body and the physical body usually just correct themselves. But if it's going on over a long period of time, then you might notice that the person starts to suffer physically with their gastrointestinal system as well. So a lot of the time, if somebody's struggling with stress and anxiety over a long period of time, they might feel that heaviness or like that butterfly feeling in the solar plexus chakra, but also on a physical level, it might actually start to affect their bowel movement. So they might be going to the toilet too much, or they might not be able to go at all. They might struggle with pain and IBS and Crohn's and different things like that. But the two correspond with each other, because everything happens in the energy body first. And if it's cleared, a lot of the time it doesn't physicalize. But if it's there for a really long period of time, then it really starts to affect the physical body. So the person needs pranic healing for clearing the energy system, and also for helping the physical body then as well. So if somebody was coming with those issues of anxiety and gastrointestinal issues, we would do treatments on them. We would do the stress and anxiety protocol, which is the pranic psychotherapy, but we would also do cleaning up the gastrointestinal system to help enhance and help it to work much better then as well. So it's just to give you a little bit of an overview of what happens then, both energetically and physically. So pranic healing, as I said, was developed by a man named Master Chow Koksui. He developed both the pranic healing system and the arhatic yoga system. And the great thing about Master Chow is he was an engineer and he had a background in science. He was a businessman. So it meant that he spent many, many years actually researching all of these different protocols and putting it together into this protocol system. But the part that I love about pranic healing is Master Chow was already also a humanitarian and a philanthropist, which meant that giving back to the community was such a huge part of his life. And it's something that we try and continue here in Ireland and in the UK and in the Philippines and over in America, where we develop different charities so that we run different events all the time and donation-based events. And then any money that's generated from these events, they're given back out into different community projects, you know, like homeless programs, addiction programs, you know, women's refuge programs. So it's really helping to build a better community. You see, Master Chow was already born into a family where they were millionaires. So he was blessed that he was able to dedicate this time to developing the system. But because he had so much money, he knew how important it was to give back as well. So it's one of the things that I love about pranic healing. And if you want to take a look at our website, there's always lots of, well, at the moment, online meditations every week. And when we get back up and running throughout Ireland, you'll also notice lots of Twin Hearts meditation groups throughout Ireland as well. And it's given people in the community access to these groups to come down, to meet like-minded people, to enjoy meditation, to learn a few more techniques as well. And it's always run on donation basis. So it just means that, you know, if you didn't have a few bob, you're still welcome to come down. Or if you can give some money, and then that'll help go back out into the community as well. Now, I've mentioned already that there's workshops, healing centres, support groups, foundations. Pranic healing is established now in over 126 different countries, which is fantastic. So one of the staple meditations that we use, and it's open to the general public, is the Twin Hearts meditation. Because let's face it, the mind is like a computer. So, you know what they say, you've got so many different tabs running at the same time. So if you think about your laptop or your iPhone or your tablet or whatever you work from, a lot of the time there's so many different tabs running at the one time that it's not actually able to focus on one particular thing because it's trying to think about all the different things that are going on. And then if we don't shut down our laptops, if we don't shut off our phones, if we don't shut down the tablets at least once a week, what usually happens? They end up freezing, they end up crashing, they end up stop working. So the mind is very much like that as well. So that's one of the reasons why we try and develop a daily practice of meditation and reflection and, you know, checking in with ourselves mentally and emotionally and physically and seeing how we're doing. So it's like you're taking a little bit of an assessment of what's going on. Because if we don't, things get too overwhelming for us and everything ends up shutting down, everything ends up freezing. So I would encourage everybody to have a look online, to look out for the different Twin Hearts meditation groups. I can even send you over some information as well of some of the different groups that we have available. I know next Saturday we're going to be meeting over in the Hill of Tara in County Meath. We're going to do a social distance outdoor meditation. So if you do want to come along for that, you can let me know. We're going to do it as a fundraiser for a young girl who's looking for a treatment over in America as well. So with the Twin Hearts meditation, when they researched it, they were able to see that the anxiety levels within the people who practiced it had significantly reduced. Their emotional traits became more positive. And when they looked at what was going on in the brain, they noticed that their cognitive functioning was working at a much higher rate. Their reaction times and responses were much faster. And even their attention, their alertness, and their gamma wave activity had also increased because of the continuous practice of the Twin Hearts meditation. And the Super Brain Yoga, we do a lot of exercise, we do a lot of different Tibetan mental physics exercises as well. And these also help to keep the energy system nice and clean as well. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. If you would like to learn a little bit more about meditation, we are going to have lots of different talks on over the next couple of months. And we also have lots of different courses starting back up again. Now, the beauty with Pranic healing is we always stand at a distance from our clients because we're working on the aura and the chakras which are outside the body. So we always stand at a good distance away from our clients, which means that we are actually in a position to be able to hold our classes again. Now, obviously, with the regulations and everything, our numbers are restricted and limited because we're going to be making sure that everybody's socially distancing. But we are looking at opening things back up again. So my next class is going to be on the last weekend of July. It's going to be over in Fairhouse in Dublin. I can send you more information about that as well. But if you want to have a look at the Pranic Healing in Ireland.com website, you'll be able to see a full list of all the Pranic Healing instructors, courses and events that are going on. Just if Dublin doesn't suit you, you might want to look at different counties, you might want to look at different dates. But I would encourage everybody to learn more about how to manage the energy system, because it just means then that you can keep checking in with those different areas of your life, your health, your spirituality, your finances, your relationships. And all the Pranic Healing courses it's training for 2 days, 2 full days. And over those 2 days, you learn a huge amount of techniques that help you in all of these different areas. It also helps you to connect more, and there's lots of different techniques that help with character building as well. So have a look at the website. It's www.pranichealingireland.com, or you can send me over an email. It's Catherine with a K at pranichealingireland.com, and I look forward to meeting you all at some stage when everything is open back up again. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks so much for tuning in, and do get in touch. I've got a Catherine McKenna Pranic Healing Instructor Facebook page. You can message me on that, or just pop me over an email and I can have a chat with you then if you want any more information. Take care, everybody. See you all soon.